Welcome to the Be More You podcast.
We're your hosts, Mon
and Stefan.
And this is a space where we want you to be more like you
and less like everyone else.
Enjoy this episode. Okay, so Steve, welcome to the Be More You podcast.
Thank you very much. It's good to be here.
I'm so frazzled about that.
People.
I was about to ask you what's been going on, but we've just boycotted that question, haven't we?
It's not a question. It's not a fair question.
What has been happening in your life that you're excited about right now?
Oh man, it was a new moon the other day, and summer's coming in, and we just had daylight savings. Like a lot of things are about to change right now.
Feels like that, doesn't it?
Yeah,
it really does.
So it's like I don't even know. Like there's a lot of I was saying before we started. There's so many balls that I'm juggling, and things are moving right now. I don't know what I'm excited about, but I'm excited because something's happening.
Yeah.
Don't you feel like, I feel like I'm like, I've said it to you heaps of times, Mon. I'm just like, especially over the last 5 or 6 days, so many things are changing around me. Nothing, and it's not like the things as such that are moving, nothing's been overwhelming, which is different for me. Normally I get overwhelmed.
True.
Yeah, so nothing has been too overwhelming. They've all been big changes, but I'm like, I just feel like I'm sitting in the middle of like a whirlpool or something, and everything's moving and changing, and I can see it. I don't know where the fuck it's going to land or what it's going to do, and I'm a little bit excited for all of them. But I can't also touch anything either.
It's hard to know whether this is an us thing or whether this is a world thing. Or
Yeah.
that gets a bit confusing as well for me. Because just then as you were saying that, like we've known each other for a very, very long time.
Yeah, very long time.
And you're not even the person that I remember at the start of this year, let alone 10 years ago.
Yes, yeah.
But the world isn't either. And so, like, I don't know, would these changes and all these things be happening if the world wasn't changing so much? Well, what I was sort of thinking is you're asking that, I'm like, are we up-leveling to the point where this is just our life now and this is who we're becoming?
Yeah.
How much of that's in our environment? How much of that's, I don't know, I'm just questioning.
Because it does feel like everybody around us is constantly shifting and changing, but I'm like, you're 100% right. Is that the whole world, or is that just, it feels like there's a vortex in Geelong as well?
Yeah. Well, we got to be living in one. I mean, even like Mon feels like you've been here forever now, and we just met like not even a year ago.
I think circumstances are forcing people to either level up or stay the same. There's no not even stay the same, but like you fall behind.
Yes.
There's no middle ground where it's like, I'm just going to sit here and everything's going to be the same. It's like, no. It's actually requiring you to rise above, or you're going to be like left right behind.
It's one of my favorite quotes. You either make yourself happy or you make yourself miserable. The
That's
amount
it.
of work is the same.
Yes.
Exactly right.
So if you're going to be doing something, you're going to be slogging it. It's like, if we've got easy times and there's not much to do other than go to the beach and everything, that's cool. But if something gets hard and the whole world's feeling a bit of a smack to the face, you're going to feel the smack. So whether you want that to be to your advantage or you just want to dig yourself into a hole, choice is yours.
That's it, choice. It's your superpower.
Yeah.
I love that you said that, because I feel like the conversations that I've been having with people lately, in every area of my life, they just feel like completely powerless. And it's like, you're not though. Power is a choice you make. Like, you either look at a situation, because everything's neutral. It's just where are you going to come in from and how you're going to see it. Then what are you going to do after the fact? Because that thing just is, or that situation just is. But you're the one who's going to determine if you're going to, same thing, rise above or just sit in that pit of shit.
Well, it's like Matt Wally said last week, when he said, we've always got these decisions. Like, you've always got a choice. And it's like, you're always going to either step forward or move back. But by God, everything feels like it's on fire right now.
Yeah.
It's like you might always have that choice, but it's really illuminating the fact that it might always be there, but now it's actually nice feeling like it is a decision. Yeah.
And I think that's the thing. Like, everybody thinks that other people make these decisions for you. It's like, you're the one that's fucking got the gun and pulls the trigger on that choice or decision. Someone can influence it. Yeah, 100%. Like, 100%. There's environment factors, there's cultural factors. There's so many factors. But at the end of the day, it's you that goes yeah or nah.
Yeah. Fuck, Stacey, I saw Stacey on Friday, and that's exactly what she said to me. She's like, you always have a choice.
Always.
It doesn't matter what the question or the situation is.
Yeah, and it goes into the accountability factor. choice is fucking terrifying.
Yeah.
Because if you finally step into that and decide, I'm going to choose this for myself, the repercussions of that choice, that's on you. You don't get to blame somebody else for, you deciding to go on an all-night bender or whatever it might be. Like, someone could have influenced that, but you're the one that sat there and said, I am going to do this thing.
It's all your fault. Ooh, does that scare you or does that excite you, that
it
question?
excites the fucking shit out of me.
Yeah. So
100%.
that's take a moment for a bit of humility and a bit of gratitude right now, because for all of us, that does actually excite us on this table.
Yeah.
And it probably didn't used to excite me a long time ago.
No.
But I didn't have many examples and memories of where I had maketh a really difficult fucking decision that changed my whole fucking life, and being like, okay, I see what that did and I see where that took me now.
Yeah.
That's who I became because of that decision.
Yes.
We've felt wins in that area, which is good. So for now, I think that's why we started with this discussion, why it feels like this is happening and the world's changing, and we're kind of like, this is exciting for us. I imagine a lot of people who listen to this even aren't going to be feeling that way, and they'll hear that and they'll be like, man, shit, like things are shit. Like, this is horrible.
Yeah.
How you're even speaking this way. How do you get to that point? And looking back right now, I'm just being really grateful because we can have this conversation and feel like we're all right, we're going to figure it out. But that's because we have had opportunities where we've had to stare into the abyss and just jump and just make it happen. And that's the hardest thing there is.
And I think the best thing about that is, like, no matter what you've gone through at any point in your life, like right now as you sit here, you've survived 100% of your worst days. That's not to say shit things will continue to happen, but right now, the fact that you're here, you've survived every worst possible thing that's ever happened to you in your life.
Yep.
Like, you've proven to yourself that you can actually make it through the other end. You're here, great. Like, start making choices and decisions that are now going to benefit that future version of you and who you're aspiring to become.
And who's that?
Still trying to figure that out. And that's okay.
In a world where we're locked down all the time and we don't have jobs and we don't have money and like.
But that's the beautiful thing. That's the beautiful thing about this whole thing. I have this conversation with everybody. I'm like, this whole fucking pandemic has forced people, when all those labels have been removed, like taken away from you, whether you've lost your job, so now you don't have the identity of your career and job holding you back. Then, social distancing, you don't have your friends and family telling you who you are. You're forced to sit there and be like, cool, who am I? That's terrifying for a lot of people because nobody wants to do that inner work.
Well, we're not taught to. We're not taught to ask those questions. So it's like,
where do you start?
Practice of that, it's like that's not even in the realm of possibility in most people's minds.
Yeah.
And that, like, a lot of people I've been working with lately, that's the first thing we start exploring. Like, well, what are you actually dreaming of? What do you want to do?
Yeah.
And that's such a triggering question for so many people. Once we start to break it down and open it up, people are like, holy fuck.
Yeah.
But it's like, it's just we're not even taught the skill of how to do that.
No.
Which is a bit of an issue.
It's funny because I always think that, like, when you're a kid, it's like you're 2, 3, 4, 5, and you constantly just get told, like, you can be anything you want to be. You can be a dancer, you can be this, you can be that. And it's like, just all of a sudden, it's like, get a real job. It's like, wait, what? Like, I thought you were telling me...
don't be lazy. Get a job and earn some money.
Like, this switch just happens, and it's like, oh, okay, so I just got to park everything I've known myself to be and just gravitate towards this new thing or person. Like, what?
Yeah, the world's fucked. And then, like, we're constantly asked when we're young, what do you want to be when you grow up?
Yeah.
What do you want to be when you grow up? I actually never had an answer to that question. I only remember answering in questions that I thought were the right answer, but I still don't know what I want to be when I grow up. But we're asked that question, and then, like you said, well, now it's just like we're funneled into university, and we're funneled into this, and that kind of standard lifestyle, which I went through and doesn't work for me, and doesn't work for a lot of fucking people too. But then there is the other side of it. It's like, well, society is so excited about people. Like, yes, you're doing you. You go do you. You go chase your dream. Until you actually start to break the mold a little bit. And then the tall poppy thing comes on. And they're just like, who the fuck do you think you are? And everyone wants to drag you back down.
So that's a really good point because what I experienced with just even doing the YouTube thing, right? So when I first started, everyone was like, that's so great. You're doing that thing you wanted to do when you were younger. Awesome. And then it was like, you're a fucking idiot for doing this, like making no money, blah, blah, blah. Then you hit this like pinnacle where it's like, if you push through and you get to that like peak and you hit that and people go, oh fuck, she's actually serious. She's like making a thing of this. Like we got to take her seriously. Then it's just like respect after that. Cause like you're still doing the fucking thing that you said you were going to do. Like, credit to you.
Yes.
So it's really interesting to say that.
And it's cool because it's like you obviously grinded and you've worked very hard to get where you are, and you've sacrificed a lot to get where you want to be. But also, it's like, well, if we don't know how to even set the scope and how to dream and figure out what we want to do, then we don't. A lot of people don't realize that like it's very doable. Like in this society, you can do it. You can make money. You can do whatever you want. Like as long as you're willing to eat shit for a while, which you just described.
Yeah.
If you can eat shit for a while and you can keep going, like there's a lot of ways. Like people are doing everything. You want to do it? Like we can figure that out. That's easy.
We always talk about. He always sends me these fucking little tech deck videos of like
yeah, I do.
YouTubers, right?
Yeah.
That are have millions of views. So I know these people are making a lot of money on these little fucking finger skateboard things, doing tricks on all these grown ass adults playing with toys are making millions of dollars on YouTube, on the internet, doing something that they just fucking love. They love playing. Like that's literally it. And it's like that. I used to look at people like that, and I said that to you. Like I used to look at people like that and be like, "You're a fucking idiot. What are you doing with your life? Like that's so dumb." That anger in me was like, "Fuck, they're doing the thing that I'm sitting here doing nothing about.
Yeah.
I could do that. I know I could do that, but I'm not doing it. They are. That makes me really mad because they're making money that I could be making too. And it's like, well, why don't you just do it then?
Yeah. And I think the other, like what you said before about doing grinding. When I was playing music in The Velvet Addiction, we played for so long. We toured so many times up and down the East Coast. We made no fucking money at all. And I remember I was working this bar in Geelong. What's it called? Recess Bar. Recess. Shout out to Bones. Good work. But Recess, it was awesome. I loved working there. But I remember people used to come in, and it's just like people's idea of what it actually takes to make it, or I'm going to do quote unquote make it, and my version of make it is just being able to make money off the thing that you love, is so distorted from what it really is. Like it's achievable for anybody can do it. You got to fucking grind and you've actually got to work at it. And I remember this dude coming in, happened quite a few times, they'd be like, why are you working here? I'm like, what are you talking about? They're like, you're a musician. I was like, yeah, I'm spending more money on music than I've ever spent before in my life.
Yeah.
But I think that like instant gratification that everybody thinks that I'll start doing this, it'll feel good for a sec. And like, it's like that old thing. It's like, it's going to start doing the thing that you love. It's going to feel really good for a little bit. And then that's probably going to wear off and it's going to be really hard for a little while as well.
It's that graph. It's like you've got to slog it out here and then people kind of start taking you seriously. And then you just hit this point where it's like I remember saying to people when I first started out, I can't go out this weekend because I have to edit a video. And they're like, just do it tomorrow. Just like, don't worry about it. And I was like, no, this thing means something to me. Yeah. It's going to, like, if you need to see that this thing means something to me. So no, I'm not going to sacrifice this time to edit a video because my deadline is Sunday night. If I don't miss that deadline, I'm actually betraying myself and my word. I don't do that anymore. No, absolutely not. Because I've done that for 20 something years. No. And then it kind of got to this point where, you know, people would invite me out and go do stuff. And I'm like, oh, I can't. I've got to do my video. And they're like, oh, yeah, no, you do. That's cool. You do that.
Yeah.
It's like, thank you. Fucking thank you. Take me seriously.
The switch takes place. It's like they need the proof first.
Yeah.
And they want to get around you.
So you know what the difference is between you and everyone else?
What?
I'm going to ask you a question.
Because
I asked ask everyone this question if I start to work for them, because I really want to know the answer. On a scale of 0 to 10, how bad do you want it?
Fucking bad. Really badly. 11.
Well, that's not even on the scale. That's crazy. That's really fucking bad.
Yeah. But no.
And so you want it that fucking bad.
Yeah.
And if you want something that bad, you've obviously got a bit of a vision of what you want to do, and you believe it. You believe that it's possible.
Yes.
Now, if you want something that bad, a little bit of like pushing something off for a day, or saying no to something, or copping the hits while everyone's saying, fuck you, you shouldn't be doing that. That's nothing compared to what you actually want.
Yeah.
And that's the difference. I don't like, if you don't even know what your dream is or what you want to be chasing because you've never given the opportunity to even explore it, then why would you ever believe it? And like, you probably don't want it that bad. That's why you're not doing anything.
Exactly. And
that's like a big mental switch. Like for me, that was huge. I was like, when I realized that if I'm not actually in the position that I want to be and I don't feel like I'm making progress towards it, then no matter how bad I think I want it right now, that's bullshit. I don't actually fucking want it bad enough. That's why I'm lazy and I'm not doing anything. This is the voice in my head. But
that's where I go, motivation's absolute bullshit.
Yeah, it's secondary.
You fucking do not need motivation, because if you, like you said, knew why you're doing what you're doing, because it's true to you, it's like what you've always wanted to do, you actually don't need the motivation to walk towards it, because that thing inspires you so much. Yeah, discipline is a major factor, and there may be moments where you're gonna have to pull the motivation, but you've got the discipline to back that motivation and all the tools and whatever you need to do to remind yourself the thing that I'm doing is because it fucking inspires me so much, whether it's music, whether for me it's like editing and getting stories across. Like, I know why I'm doing it, therefore nothing gets in the way of me fucking doing that thing.
Yeah.
And so you look at, you understand your why. Great, I want to do this thing long term. I want to do it for the rest of my life. I want it to kill me. Like, I literally want to die doing this thing I love. There's the longevity piece. Cool, so I know I'm going to do this thing. Now, how do I actually make it a thing? I've got to keep it consistent. I've got to keep showing up every fucking day. I've got to implement habits and take actions to walk towards that. How do I do that over a long period of time? I fucking have to keep it simple. We overcomplicate fucking everything. It's not that hard. It is, but you can find ways.
It's a skill.
It's a skill set.
It's a skill. It's
it is
another
a skill
skill
set.
that we're not taught.
It's a muscle. It's a skill.
Yeah.
It's like something that has to occur every single day. It's not like a one-time thing, or, I'm going to do this for a week and then it's going to be all peachy and rosy. Fucking absolutely not. That doesn't require motivation. That requires discipline. They're two different things, and we merge the two and go, I'm just not motivated. How do you stay so motivated? It's like, I'm fucking not. But I know why I'm doing what I'm doing. Therefore, nothing gets in the way. Yeah. Nothing.
Yeah, there's a few really interesting points that you touched on just there, but I think I absolutely agree. Like, motivation's cool and it's nice to feel it. It's a byproduct. Like,
exactly.
It comes after the fact. Once you do the things you need to be doing, you're going to feel motivated because you're going to see what you've done.
Yeah.
It's I've just had a brain fart. It's like we've felt the feeling of what it feels like to actually make a decision to do something, and what a win feels like to that. And so now that's motivation in our tank. It's in our memory bank.
Yeah.
And we've got that now. But that didn't come before it. That came after we did it. So that's kind of how motivation's rolling in there. And the whole breaking it down part, I'm like, I love doing that shit. But it is like I believe in dreaming really big. Like, always 10xing your dream. Even like, I do it all the time. It's just constantly trying to think, how can I make this bigger and bigger and bigger and bigger? But when it comes down to doing it, it is the small habits and the small things that you're going to take. And now, working with people and behavioral change, I've learned that, like, habits, you need to do them really fucking slowly.
Yeah.
Like, it's micro habits that you're doing every day. You got to do things that are so fucking easy but different to what you're normally doing that you barely even notice you're doing them, and they add up so much more quicker.
And do you know what I believe? That exact thing where you're doing those micro little habits every single day over a long period of time, all that's fucking doing is giving a person the opportunity to build the confidence within themselves, to trust themselves.
Exactly.
To trust their word, that it actually fucking means something. 5 years ago, if I said I was going to do something, people were like, oh yeah, sure. Like, nah, she won't. Like, whatever. I used to say that about myself. Now, I'm sure you both are well aware, if I say I'm going to do something, nobody sits there and goes, no, she won't. Because I don't do that to myself. If I say it, if I verbalize it, it means I've thought about it enough and I'm going to fucking do it because I back myself 100%. There is infinite world of possibilities is all I think. Like, everything is an opportunity, everything is a lesson, and the world is just filled with possibilities that I am fucking entitled to going out and getting.
Yeah. Well, it won't happen if you don't.
Exactly.
It just won't.
Exactly.
That's the part that kills me. Like, this thing is never going to exist if it's not me that experiences it right now.
Exactly.
And then that's like, well, hell, like, I believe that we're all the universe experiencing itself. And so if I don't go really just flourish in my potential, then I'm letting the universe down by not fully letting it experience this.
Yeah.
And that kills me. I don't want to do that.
exactly.
I would do that. And there's also the other reality as well, and like all the things. I'm always 10xing what I'm imagining, and then once I do, I get this idea. I'm like, yeah, fucking Stefan. And I'm like, yeah. And then I realize someone's already doing it, and I'm just like, okay. So first I get like, oh shit, competitiveness comes in, but then I'm also just like, if somebody can do it, then I might as well can do it as well.
Yes.
Like it's obviously can be done. So what's the difference?
Exactly. And this is the thing. I used to always think that with music. I think it with teaching. I think it with everything. Music especially, because I just have a long list of examples to go off in my own experience. But the competitiveness.
Good job.
Got it. In Melbourne, when we used to play lots of shows and we'd go tour and stuff, you could feel it. Not with everyone. The bands that were really just doing it because they fucking loved it, there was no competition. They were just there to fucking hang out, and it was amazing. But I know within ourselves, I definitely fucking felt it. Within the group that we had, I definitely felt it with other bands. And there was this competition, and I always used to, it drove me insane, because I was like, why the fuck are we competing?
Yeah.
You're literally, and I used to only apply this to music and to teaching, whether it be Pilates or yoga or each individual studios, because I think the competition within yoga, if there's competition or seeing competition within different studios and stuff like that, feels crazy to me as well, because I'm like, you're literally all just trying, if you're just doing you from you, then there's room for everybody.
Yeah.
Like there's room for absolutely everybody, because you could be singing the same thing, you could have the same message, you could be playing the same type of guitars, the same type of drums, and it's still going to be different because it's coming from two different people.
That's it.
So it's like, where's the competition? But I mean, I've done it. I do it too. I think everybody does it.
Everybody's got that inner critic in them that is going to sit there and be like, you're a fucking idiot.
Yeah.
Like, that's dumb.
Yeah.
Everybody. But it's like, how loud is that voice? How much power are you going to give that voice? And is that voice even yours? Is it actually? Or is it somebody that's come before you, or somebody that said something to you in passing, like in childhood when you were a teenager?
Yeah.
We don't stop to actually think, like, that's actually not even me speaking right now. So why am I shitting on myself?
Yeah.
Why? If I want to win, I've got to be on my own fucking team.
Yeah.
Yeah, you got to learn how to have that conversation with that person inside of you, with that voice, or those many voices that come from different angles. It's kind of cool too. I mean, if that, I don't believe that's your voice. I mean, I think they're all learned things. They're passed down. It's trauma. It's family. It's something we heard. It's whatever it is. Like I don't think they're necessarily like how we learn how to just talk in general language. We learn as kids. We pick it up. We learn from people before us. But if we learnt that negative voice, we can also learn a bit more of a positive voice. We can learn how to have an inspiring voice that can actually nurture that relationship.
1000%.
And then when we can do that, it's like that voice can come up, and it doesn't matter. It's like, oh yeah, this comes up. I can even get a little bit rolled up. I can get a bit competitive or throw something. Like I get angry all the time now. That's my latest thing. Like, I just crack the shits.
Same.
Yeah, I know. But it's all sweet because that can come up, and then I can have the conversation with myself of that part that came up, and I'll be like, okay, cool, I see you, I feel you, you can do you can be angry right now, but we got shit to do. Yeah. And I'm going to go do this. You just don't get a voice right now. Go be angry over there. I love you, I'm over here.
I just, like, with that voice thing that you were talking about, the passing it down and it not really being yours, I couldn't help but think there's this guy, Brendan West, actually. I've met so many fucking Wests in the last 3 years. Brendan West is this dude in Melbourne. He played in my last band for just a little bit. He did a tour with us, but they have a band called Gold Mines. They're fucking cool as, like, really great band. But he did this post, like, they just released this album, and it got on a bunch of really good playlists. It was really cool. It had like a Band of Skulls type vibe. It's really cool music. I'll say cool music one more time.
What was it?
It's really cool. But he did this post, and he said, I think he just had his 35th or his 36th birthday.
Yeah. And
he wrote, and it was so, like, it blew my fucking mind, because I've gone through this same narrative. I know guys that I've played music with have as well. I know guys. It's like, he wrote, when I was 18, I was too old to make it as a musician. It's like, when I was 21, I thought I was too old to make it as a musician. When I was 25, I thought I was too old to make it as a musician. When I was 28, I told myself I was too old to make it as a musician. When I was 31, and it kept going all the way up to 35, and he's like, I'm finally in a fucking band that... He's like, we're doing what we love, and I can see it going somewhere, or we're getting, they're getting some successes, they're getting some wins. But it was so interesting having him put that out there, because I'm like, that helped me. When I was 18, some of my favourite bands were already killing it when they were 18. I was like, I fucking remember literally looking at my guitar and being like, it's too late. Fucking 18-year-old.
Yeah.
I went through that when we lived together, and me and Josh were playing in the Sun Machine. I was like, I'm too old to be playing this. I'm too old to be doing this. And it's been like the constant narrative. It still doesn't pop into my head much anymore, as much as it used to, but it still does from time to time. But that I just think it's really interesting when people actually come out, and it's why I love your perspective on sharing stories, because I think when people actually come out and share these thoughts, because they're not his thoughts, they're not my thoughts, they're not our thoughts.
They're opinions of other people.
They're opinions of other people that have been instilled in us for a really long time. But when people actually start sharing because it's really embarrassing too, like to come out and be like, I think I'm too old. Or because you actually believe it so much that you are too old, that you're looking up favourite artists being like, oh, how old were you when you released your album?
Right.
Or how old were you when you had that thing that came out? Then you finally find somebody like Morgan Freeman who was 55 before he did a movie. You're like, oh, I've got time. It's like, no, you fucking have time regardless of if somebody else, like, stop comparing.
Well, imagine telling that to all your friends who are sort of been watching you and like, oh, that's cute, he's playing guitar. But they're like, now it's like, oh, he's actually taking this seriously.
Yeah.
Like, that sort of plateau zone where it's like you're doing this, but no one's taking you seriously right then. That's what you got to come out in those moments and say, like, oh yeah, I'm scrolling through looking to see if I'm too old. Like, I'm looking at this kind of information right now.
Yeah.
That's commitment right now, and people would look at you like you're a fucking moron.
Yeah, absolutely.
It's scary, man.
It is scary.
But that's kind of where you go.
Sorry.
But you know, like, that's where it kind of goes. First of all, that comparison game is just in every single one of us, because we need a reference point.
Yeah.
We need to know, like, oh, what is too old? Age is just a load of shit anyway. But anyway, I just said but anyway twice in a row. Oh my God, I'm so tired. Anywho, yeah, that comparison game, like that, again, starts, well, I know for me personally, that was really, really heavy on me as a kid, being Croatian in a community where you constantly got compared to other kids.
Yeah.
Academically, like in sports, in this, and all it came down to was bragging rights for the family.
Yeah.
Like, look at my kid, they're doing so well. Look how great I am as a parent because my kid, or grandparent because my granddaughter is doing this.
Yeah.
It's just something to
It's
like...
really fucking big in these communities.
It is.
Yeah.
It really... And it's so fucking damaging. I'm sure it happens across the board. It's not just in, like, cultures like that. But...
Get it too. Oh, yeah, everyone. Yeah. I keep interrupting you guys. I'm tired too, so I'm just like jumping at random times.
Yeah. But... that was this invisible rope that I had tied to me for a really, really long time. And it's so invisible that you don't pick up on it, because once those expectations start getting piled on top of you, that's where you find yourself on this path going, I don't even want to be here. Like, this is wrong. This is actually not my path. Why do I keep walking on this one? It takes serious fucking balls to just be like, this isn't for me. I'm just going to go right, or I'm going to go left.
And it takes balls just to even get to that point where you're questioning it. Like, just asking yourself the question, if you're even doing that and like, this isn't right, you're in a good spot.
Yeah.
It doesn't feel it, but like...
I get so many people. I'm like the last point of call when someone's at breaking point and they need to quit their job, I've realized. People will come to me and be like, I'm unhappy in my job. And it's like, they just need the okay for someone to say, you can quit your fucking job and you'll be okay. Do it.
Yeah.
So I had someone the other day, he's probably going to be listening to this, so I'm not going to say his name, but just know you're the person that I'm talking about. But he's been telling me how much he wants to quit his job and how unhappy he is over, I'm going to say like 6 months plus, right? And the other day he messaged me and was like, I'm at breaking point. Like, I don't know what to do. I was like in hospital. I've been having panic attacks. I've been this, I've been that. And I literally was like, do you not see how like not okay this is? Would you rather, this is the choice you're giving yourself now. You would rather sit at a fucking job that you hate, make yourself physically ill from stress and all the other shit that's coming along with it, then just take the chance and quit, which is going to then force you in a position where you're gonna have to find another job. That suffering you're sitting in is a comfort zone. You just don't want to leave the comfort zone. That to me is more fucking uncomfortable than just taking the risk, quitting the job, forcing yourself to go find another job, wherever that might be, and actually but trying to take the steps to figure out what you actually want to do. Because when you're in that comfort zone, you can't figure that out because the water's too murky. It's not going to happen. There's too much noise around you. You're not giving yourself the space to just think. Everybody thinks it's always really stressful, like when you quit a job, when you leave a relationship, blah, 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 because of the uncertainty that surrounds, like, but what could happen? Right now, I know the outcome of this is it's going to be shit, and I get to blame everybody else for my own shit. You step out of that comfort zone and you go into that zone where it's like, I fucking have no idea what to do next. None, absolutely none. It's all on me. I don't have another choice. I can't blame someone for me quitting my job. I can be like, my boss was a fucking asshole. That's not going to change the outcome. But then physically removing yourself and going, right, I've got to do something different. Change doesn't happen when you're sitting in your comfort zone.
No. And so remember what we were talking about before, OG Moji, which is Steve, for anybody wondering.
That's his one line every single time he mentions you. In every video, every podcast, OG Moji, it's Steve. I can't call him Steve.
So here's the thing though, when we moved back to Geelong and I started going Moji, this and that, and everyone's like, who the fuck are you talking about? I'm like, oh, Steve. And it feels weird saying it like that because I called him Moji for so long. But before you came around, we were talking about... Today. We were talking about my... how should I say? My sometimes detrimental need for certainty. And then I couldn't help but think the same reason why I would look up how old people were, or like all of us would look up how old people were when they made their first moves. I think because you want some sort of certainty to be able to know that at least somebody else has been through that in your life, right? And as you were talking, I couldn't help but think, I was like, that stopped so much more for me. Anyway, I noticed it crept back in about 3 or 4 months ago, maybe, and it was when I was really in a really funny headspace with everything around me. I didn't know where to turn. I didn't know what to do, so I was like, I needed some certainty. So I'm like, I can't even remember who the person was, but I was like, how old was this person when they did this? And I was like, oh, I've still got time. And I was like, what the fuck are you doing? Anyway.
Oh, so you actually did that?
Dude, I've done that for years. I've done that for years, and it's like, as like this reference point, because I feel so fucking unsure of myself. I get so terrified, and it's always been really weird for me because people have often been like, oh, you're doing what you want, you're doing what you love, you're really happy, this and that. And it's like, I'm fucking shitting myself.
So now imagine, sorry to cut you off. No, I'm not sorry, you always cut me, and I'm going to do that. But like now imagine being the age you're at and deciding for yourself right now, I'm going to go and do this thing. And then in 5 years' time, people are Googling going, how old was Stefan West when he did this thing?
So this is absolutely...
I like that.
Yeah, that's really cool. So the thing is, I was like, why did that stop happening for me though? Like, why did that stop happening? I'm like, because the uncertainty, it wasn't that I needed certainty, or I want to make sure that I say this and actually makes sense. But everything began to become a felt experience for me rather than logical. So it's like I began to have feelings that felt better to step into rather than thoughts of comfort. Well, uncomfortable thoughts that felt comfortable. So then I think that comes back to the small habits every day. It comes back to the accountability and just making your bed first thing when you wake up in the morning, or reading the book as soon as you wake up, or meditating every day, because then you start to have felt experiences and you're like, this feels good each day, this feels good. And then all of a sudden I'm not looking up how old somebody was at whatever age when they made it, because I'm like, I've got all of these felt experiences in my life every single day that are way, way stronger than what I'm able to actually logically think about. And all of a sudden, your entire world has changed before you even really felt like you did anything. But
those felt experiences, I always think, is you returning back to you and going back to you just learning how to trust yourself again like you did as a kid.
Yeah.
That's literally all it is. That's why the habits build the confidence to actually be like, no, I got this. Maybe I don't fully understand it up here logically, but I feel it. And it's the same thing, like I always say, and I'll probably keep saying it on this podcast, but like when you have a goal or a dream or a fucking destination you want to get to, you have this idea in your head, right? It's like, this is what it's going to look like. This is what the success is going to be. This is what the end goal is. It's going to look like this. And we get so focused on that end goal. And I'm not saying you can't have a goal. Absolutely. You need direction. You need to figure out how to get to wherever you want to go. But we get so fixated on that image or that goal that we miss the whole fucking point of it, which is the process of getting there and the steps you take to become the person that reaches that goal. And sometimes that goal or that image in our heads, it's not the thing we thought it was. I literally live and breathe that like philosophy every single day.
You want to hope that goal's changing.
Yeah.
To be honest,
that too.
To be honest, it's too fucking small. It's like, you got to think bigger.
But this is the thing, because then people do just think small. They think in the box because they go, no, I can't look that way. I can't be open to anything because that's the thing I have to go to. I can't do like this because that's not what I was told to do. It's I have to look like this.
Yeah.
You miss the whole fucking thing. Like you miss everything.
You do.
If I thought like that, if I honestly thought like that, Be More You wouldn't exist. Hands down. Like I would have said no to this because I was like, no, the thing I'm doing is like over here. I can't, that noise around me, like, Stefan, shut up. Like I don't want to hear you.
Which has probably been said in a lot of people's heads.
But my point is we walk through doors that we don't even realize we walk to. And sometimes when you're so fixated on that end thing, it's like you get to that end thing and it's like, oh, I'm here. Cool. What next?
Yeah.
And it's like, well, why don't you just sit here for a second because you did a really great thing. You achieved this thing. But again, we're just like chasing and running and like seeking this validation from everything else around us that it's like that fucking shit doesn't matter because that shit goes away real quick. How do you feel inside about doing this thing? Because if it feels great, awesome, sit in it, embrace it. Don't look away.
That's how you make it real.
Exactly.
You can't think your way to it.
Exactly.
That's
exactly.
Like Joe Dispenza's work is huge on that stuff. It's if you've got something in mind, if you've got plans, if you've got a dream, if you've got even just like somewhere you want to be, but whatever it is, let's say I want to live out in nature and have a big ass house and have this massive business that's just pumping in money, and I get to live next to a waterfall and shower under it every day. Woo!
Oh, that sounds beautiful.
Doesn't it? Yeah, let's write that down. You
got a video, so
yeah. Now I can definitely write down the points. I can write down what that goal is. In fact, statistically speaking, I'm going to be much more likely to actually achieve it if I do write it down. I can break that into smaller goals, and I can and really commit to it by like, all right, these are the steps that I'm actually going to do to get there, and this is how I'm going to, which is what you were talking about before. Statistically speaking, again, that's going to really help you get there. And then I can tell somebody about it, someone can check in, I can be accountable to it. That's like the third thing to statistically make you much more. It's like 43% or something more likely to get a goal if you can do those things. That's all cool, that's all well and good. If you can't put yourself in that position of being there already and know what that feels like to be there, then you're not going to do it.
Yep.
If you can start to picture that, so you literally give yourself some time to just imagine what that feels like when you are showering under that waterfall, when you've gone through all the things you need to do to build out this business, when you've paid over and you're like, bam, I own this thing now, and you are that person and you've made it and you've got it, and like, whew, I'm getting shivers thinking about it. But like, when you can actually feel it as if it's already happened, this is the science behind it. Your body starts to physically change as if you're already living it. Your genes, the expression of your genes changes to match that reality, because your body doesn't know the difference between the time. It just knows what that feeling is. Thoughts are the language of the mind, emotions are the language of the body. And so you got to feel it. Like, you got to really put yourself there and know what this feels like to be there. Because then the details can change. Maybe it's not a waterfall. Maybe I want to live next to a volcano and actually like have hot springs or something like that instead. But it's still the same feeling once I get there.
Yeah.
And so it allows for that. I think that's super, super important.
I think, is that, I've read somewhere as well before, maybe it was like emotions, but your brain actually can't differentiate it, or your mind can't differentiate it. So whatever you think, you add on the feeling to it. So like visualizing yourself, you know, if you want to drive a Range Rover, if that's your dream car, literally visualizing yourself driving it on a highway, feeling the steering wheel, feeling the seats, if you've got heated seats, feeling the heated seats, smelling the leather. Like every sense has to be hit. for your body to be like, oh, this is real.
It's
actually real.
Every emotion you're feeling inside of your body is a chemical equation.
Yeah.
And so if you can somehow manipulate that chemical equation to put yourself there already, it's as if you've already got it.
Yep.
And when you're doing that internally, if you're doing it every day and you start to feel like you're that person already, you're going to start, your body will physically start to change. Your genetic expression is going to change. So you're going to become that person in this day where you don't have it. You're already living as if you have it. That means you're going to start having conversations, you're going to start doing things, you're going to start meeting people that are going to put you into that position because you are different now.
Yeah.
You are that person. Your outside reality has no choice but to catch up to what's going on inside.
So I have a perfect example of me experiencing this. So when I started the YouTube channel, I had massive dreams. I was like, yeah, I want this channel to be where I can just go and speak to strangers. I can take strangers on these adventures. I can, my big goal was I want this thing to generate money so I can just go out and give back to people. I want to give the money away. That's all I want to do. I don't actually, I want to have it for myself, but I want to be able to help more people. And I just had this thing in my head where it was you need to make the money first before you can help the people. Because if you don't have money, you can't help people. And so that's what I was trying to do. I was like, cool, I'm going to start building this thing. I'm going to get monetized from my channel. And then I'm going to start helping people. And then this thing just popped into my head and I was like, you can absolutely fucking start doing that right now. If you want to go up to a homeless person and give them $100, do it. Be the person that you keep telling yourself you want to be. Go and do it.
Well, that's it. What's more important to you, making the money or helping the people?
So I did that. I was like, no, that is who I want to become. That is a person I just want to be within myself. Not about getting the credit. And I've done that so many times and I've never filmed it. Here's me now talking about it. But
this is what you've been waiting for. Finally it comes out.
But it was
busted.
Lucky I'm the editor. I can cut everything out. Actually, no, too. But yeah, I was like, if I actually want to step into being this person, I just have to be the fucking person. What the fuck am I waiting for?
Yeah. And then all the resources you need are going to find their way around you. You're going to make it happen.
Then it happened.
Yeah.
Right?
Why do you need X amount of money to be able to do this thing? It's do this thing and you'll find the money.
Yeah, the fire started, literally. And now, I look at everything I've done in the last year with people and, even when I went and did the GoFundMe account, I invested most of the money myself, but I was like, I don't fucking care because this thing is going to help people. And people just wanted to be a part of it. They were throwing money at me. A subscriber from the US gave me $700 USD. Never met him before in my life. Just watched all my videos and was like, I believe in what you're doing because you believe in what you're doing. I want to be a part of that. I was like, holy shit. This thing is a mammoth. Thank you. But yeah, it's just you've got to, the only way you're going to become that person is if you actually start stepping into it. And that whole thing that you just said about literally physically changing your biology by manifesting it. Fucking hate the word manifesting. I think it's the biggest bullshit buzzword ever because it's you can't just say it. You've got to follow it through with action.
Yeah.
It works. It's just all of these things. People get caught up on one thing, especially when you're new to all of this stuff. You'll find something that works for you. It's like initiation into real life. The first thing you do, you find something awesome, it works for you, and you need to tell everybody about it, and you get really hooked on and fixated onto this one thing.
Who's that one?
Me? I tell everybody about everything all of the
time. Stefan's pretty good. Yeah, no, I've seen him go through this phase.
I'm going to tell you. You've got to get used to it. I'm going to tell you anyway.
No, I'm well aware of that. I'm very well aware of that.
No, that Lance was doing, and I started doing as well, to be magnetic. And it's this manifestation course. I spoke to you about it last time.
Yeah.
But it was really good because they're exactly the same. They're manifestation is bullshit unless you do the work beneath it.
Yeah.
So it's there's so many different avenues that'll say, just think positive thoughts and positive things will happen. They're like, no, you have to do the work underneath to manifest those things into your life. It's not about just thinking about it.
Yeah.
It's about sorting through all of your shit. So then what you just said, 100%. I'm pointing at Moji. It is. It's about everything all at once. It's about doing everything to pull those things into your life.
Yeah.
It's not any one given thing.
Yin and yang, people.
That's it.
The sun goes up, the moon comes up. That's the nature of our world. We need all of these things.
Wow. It's
That's really poetic.
Hold on. We haven't had any silence this whole time. It's just been. Oh,
we get excited.
Let's just like, yeah.
You got
I was just
three
like,
excitable
I'm just gonna hold
people.
this silence for a second. Let's practice what we preach and actually just fucking get out of our heads a little bit. How about that? Huh?
So
There's nothing wrong with your your radios or your podcast. Nothing broke down. Nothing tuned up. That's what silence feels like. I'm sorry if that made you anxious. That should tell you something. Use that as a mirror. And if you liked it, there's plenty more. Just shut the fuck up. That's what you course. Welcome.
Do you want to actually talk about? We kind of just jumped straight in, which is great. We just jumped into this, but do you want to actually talk about like some of the stuff that you've been working on lately? In terms,
Yeah. What?
in terms of, don't you dare. touch
I'm
my
not
phone.
going to.
No,
Doing
you.
anything.
Stop it!
What?
Oh my God. So not appropriate.
Sorry.
What have you
People
been up
listening.
Yeah.
He's rubbing our
I'm
calves with his
affectionate.
feet.
I'm affectionate. I told you this. I just dropped into a bit of silence and I like connected with myself a little bit more, you know.
I wanted to share that with everyone.
With everyone at the table.
I know.
Thank you.
I love how awkward you guys are. This is beautiful to me.
Well, I'm still
So many
sitting like
triggers.
this so you don't touch me.
So many triggers right now. Oh man. So what have I been up
What have
to
you been
lately?
doing?
Yeah. Okay. I mean, there's a few things kind of going on at the moment. Like Cold and Conscious is happening. It's been. Do I get into what that is, or
Can you
what do I?
explain it? Because there's literally people from like Europe and North America who are listening to this.
And also, that's how all of us really met.
Yeah.
No, not
you
you and
go.
I.
Not you
but
and I. Okay. So Cold and Conscious is essentially a event we run down at the beach on Saturday mornings and Wednesday mornings. We're doing a couple now, but it involves getting the community together. Basically, it's about being uncomfortable. It's about stepping into discomfort, getting a feel for what that feels like, and learning how to step through that and get past it. So it is practicing that feeling of discomfort and putting yourself there and taking the leap. How we do that is by usually I get people into little groups and we ask little questions and maybe rub thighs. Like, not actually. That's just a special one for you guys. This podcast is getting pulled down.
So there's gonna be a week missing.
There'll be a lot of silence in the edit.
Yeah. Nah, what we do is we do breathwork and ice baths essentially.
Yeah.
So kind of like simplified Wim Hof stuff. If anyone's heard of Wim Hof, that's
But-
basically the idea.
Also,
Yeah.
it's so much more profound than just breathwork and ice baths, because the community that was created that you were able to create by.
And you.
Thank you. We did a lot.
It was teamwork.
Thank you. It was fun. Oh, I'm blushing.
Right, you were there every step of the way.
But the community that was created, because I remember we were down there doing it each week, and it just started to grow. It grew, and then I wasn't there for like a month. That was the last time that I took drugs, and I wasn't there for a month. I was actually really ashamed to come back down to the ice baths because I just in my own head felt like I'd let everybody down. But I remember coming back that time and did you ask that question that morning knowing that I would open up, or was it like?
I was hoping you would.
Yeah, because we came down. Lance and I were there. We're sitting at the beach, and everyone's like, "Where have you been? Where have you been?" And then Mo goes, "Today we're going to talk about letting go." And I was like, "This motherfucker." And he's like, "If anybody, and in a good way, he's like, if anybody has anything to speak about letting go, now's a good time to do it if you'd like to share with the whole group." And I fucking just vomited out everything. I started crying. But that morning when I left, I remember calling you and being like, what has shifted down there? Because it's not just, I think there was like 40 people down there that morning. It's not just...
Tiki torch.
There's tiki
Cool
torches,
music.
cool music, but there was this sense of like raw community, not just like a bunch of people hanging out laughing with one another, because that happens too. We have a great time. But there was this like intertwined connection between everyone. And I was like, what happened while I was gone? And like, maybe it is that, what's it called? The interest,
Compound
interest, and weeks and weeks turned into months and months of people opening up and sharing their vulnerability, and then eventually people would step in and had never been there before. I remember I ran one of them when you were away. Remember this woman stepped up and spoke about she'd been unfairly dismissed from her job. All this shit had happened, and I was like, this doesn't even have anything to do with the questions that are being asked anymore. This is the space that's been created for all the people down there. And I'm getting shivers talking about it, because feeling into that and then watching it with your own eyes, I was like, this is bigger than everything at this point. So how did that feel, that transition? What did that feel like? And I know what it felt like for me, because I think I got to experience it from a little bit of a gap from it. But like, what the fuck happened down there? Seriously, because it's so special.
It is special. It's really beautiful. Yeah, I say that really humbly, because it's just like, I mean, like, yeah, we knew that it was going to be pretty cool, but like, no one anticipated this to be happening. Like, the space that is created and the culture that is created within people, the networks that have built within it, and friends and relationships, and yeah, just the fact that everybody is starting to ask these questions and do it. It's cool. But what changed? I remember that one that you came. Like, I don't know. I think, like, initially when it started, a lot of it was just us filling a void for ourselves. Definitely. Like, we just wanted to do an ice bath because we wanted an ice bath, and we invited people so that we didn't have to pay for the ice. And we wanted to do ice baths because when we used to live in Geelong before we moved back, we were just doing drugs and fighting people. And so we wanted to be able to look. We wanted to be able to look at the beach and like have another memory.
Better memories.
Better memories.
That was a very big part of it. Yeah.
That was a very big part of it. It's like, all right, we'll do this right now. I kind of, so cold and conscious for me is a little bit different to what it is for everybody else. Obviously, like, obviously from where I'm standing, but it is about stepping into discomfort and making that normal. And it's about opening a container so that discomfort is normalized, and so that we can see each other and feel each other in it. And so for a lot of people, it's like, oh, the ice bath, that's what draws you in. That's what's going to be the uncomfortable part. For me, the uncomfortable part is I need to make this a space where anybody's going to feel comfortable doing anything. Like, I need to expand my emotional bandwidth as much as I can, and what I'm capable of holding within myself as much as possible, and people need to see me doing it. People need to see me.
You've got to go
really
first.
Vulnerable.
Yeah.
Leader's the limiter. That's what they say. So yeah, so I don't know, I think it was just an accumulation of that. That story was initially our story about, well, we're coming to the beach because we want to rewrite the memories here, and we want to fucking change the culture of this shit, because we're not the only ones who are feeling this right now. And I think it just accumulated after a while. I think when you left, then it was also like, I don't know, it was literally little things like bringing the tiki torch there, because I was like, all right, I'm going to change this vibe up now to something people have never seen before. And I was playing that. I was playing like tribal kind of music and like things like that in the morning, and I had candles around it. Like, it was just, I don't know, I was playing around with shit like that. And then I think that was a part of me just letting go as well. It was just like, this is just what I want this to be, so I'm just going to try this out and make it this kind of a vibe. Because you weren't there at that point as well. I was like, all right, this is all on me right now, so let's just go. Let's stop holding back. And it was just those little things. I think that it put more of me into it, and it opened up that space a little bit more, because I was able to, it doesn't sound like much, but that was a big move for me.
No, it was huge. I remember having that conversation with you, because it was, I feel like that whole time of ice baths for the both of us was like, there was so much vulnerability, I know, for me. And then I remember it being for you, like stepping into that. Like for me, I was always just helping you. So I was like, this is his thing. Like, everyone knows how much you love getting in the ice, like, and has for such a long time. But I remember that time period leaving and not being there, because you spoke to that quite a bit as well, and stepping into that vulnerability, I think that has a huge impact on something like this. I can't stress it enough. I walked into this place and I was like, what has happened? All these people feel like brothers and sisters, and not like from we're brothers and sisters. Like, no, it felt like you were stepping into a large family, and everyone was like, hey, you can be a part of it too.
Yeah. I definitely felt a lot more responsibility on that point because I
Yeah.
think it was you helping me, and a big part of that was like me understanding that you're helping me because I was
Yeah.
just like, well, you've been here the whole time, so
We're
this is
doing it
kind of
together.
we're doing it together, and I was like, I felt bad about like taking on any more than I was doing because I'm like, well, you were there the whole time,
Yeah.
and I sort of had to come to the thing that like, oh yeah, like Stefan's helping me and he's doing his own thing and he's all right with that, and I
Yeah.
actually need to take ownership over this a bit more.
Yeah.
I think a part of it was deflecting ownership as well. And so when that happened, I actually took responsibility of
Yep.
what was going on down here. I was like, all right, this has become a bigger thing and it's still going, and it's on me now. Let's do this.
Yep.
And then when people all started coming, it was like, I have to make this a place where I can hold these people and allow these people to do that. And so I think that was a personal thing, but to me, that sort of put me in a position of myself of like, all right, well, I'm standing up as a leader in this community.
Yep.
Not just cold and conscious, but just in like Geelong's a smaller place than Melbourne, for instance. So it's
Yeah.
like, well, whatever happens here, it's like, yeah, I'm bringing these people together, and these people are coming to me and looking up to me in some way, and so
Yeah,
it
definitely.
made me. Came at a point where I was taking more responsibility for my own life in general because I was just like, man, shit's not going right, and I was taking that responsibility. So it was like I have to be able to really understand what it is to be a leader right now, which is ironic because I've always been in leadership roles. I'm always kind of
Yeah.
like take charge in a sense, but I don't think I've ever really owned it. And this time it was like I have to learn how to own it, and I have to do this properly now because it's like. I just naturally always find myself in these positions.
Yeah.
I try and make it not sound like an arrogant way or anything, but it's just like, I mean, it naturally happens. So yeah, I need to take that shit seriously.
And what was the difference for you? Sorry, Mon. What was the difference for you?
He's touching you, Mon.
Well, because all of these other leadership roles, like there was Fifth Element, which is a fantastic gym up in Melbourne. There was the even the flotation Beyond Rest, or Fonda, all these. But when you were like cold and conscious and stepping up into being a leader, was there a conscious awareness of this is also my thing now, and it feels a lot different than stepping into a leadership role beneath somebody else? Did that feel different, or was that like an unconscious step that just sort of happened?
Nah, that was all part of the transformation I was going through, which really started at COVID. Like, it was all of those positions. It was like I'm sort of in it, and I was comfortable being in it because I'm learning. I was learning a lot when I was in those positions, but there was always a part of me that's just like I don't. Like I did my uni degree and everything like that, but I've never felt like I have anything like a particular skill or something that's really tangible that I can just like, I can go get a job doing this or anything, other than just like managing, leading teams, building teams, strategizing with the fucking business
Because
owners.
you're a
whatever that
fucking
shit.
wizard at that shit.
Thank you. Yeah, but it was always like I never found a way to really make that work for me. It was like if I ever wanted to get a job or anything, it's like I have to fucking sell my soul to somebody now, and it just takes so much energy to do it.
Yeah.
So there was always a part of me that's like I need to find a way to get out of this and do things for myself. When COVID struck, I was in this position. So COVID happened. The first weekend of the first lockdown was my 30th birthday.
Yeah, I remember.
Yeah, and it was really hectic because I was 29. I'd never cared about being 29, but it did start to hit me closer to 30. I was like, how I'm turning 30. And then I was like, fuck, this is how fast the decade goes. Like when you're in your teens, you live 10 years, you experience it, but you're too young to really know. When you're between 20 and 30, you get to a point where you're like, oh, that's how fast the decade is. I see that now.
Yeah.
And it's like, I was listening to Time by Pink Floyd.
Yeah.
And that song's like, it's all about time, and there's a line in there, it's like, no one told you when to run, you missed the starting gun. Like, that's one of the lines. It's like, it's kind of just, you're in it, but you didn't realize you're in it. And it's like, it's not like, in your 20s, you're learning who you're going to become and who you want to be and what you're going to do. You're learning a lot. But 29, 30 came, and it was just like, oh, it's not about still learning and figure it out. I'm fucking 10 years into this shit.
Yeah.
It's already happening. And I was like, what the fuck? And it was really ironic because when he wrote that song, he was 29 years old as well. So I really connected with that. But yeah, so that was all coming up, and I was sort of in this position. I'm like, I've done all these really cool things. I've worked for some crazy people. I've lived a pretty wild life, like by pretty standards.
Yeah.
But at the same time, I didn't have shit to show for it. Like, I didn't have any fucking money to show for it. I didn't feel like I had anything, because I'm also getting at those ages where I'm like, well, fuck, like, I might want to have a family one day. I want to do some things like that. And I'm like, COVID happens. And in my head, it's like Mad Max scenarios are going on.
I'm talking to you like, it's like,
bro,
man, it's the fucking end.
It's happening. I'm like, get ready, get some fucking weapons, get some food, like, just be ready, just in case. I'm like, let's go. That's the first thing that my mind went to. But I was like, the world's turning to shit right now, and I've got opinions, I've got this and that, but I'm like, who am I to have an opinion? I've got no influence over anything. I can't even look after myself, let alone look after anybody else right now.
Yeah.
And so that kind of like that very primal masculine thing in me, it's like I want to be able to help people and protect people and provide for people and do those things. Like, that means a lot to me. And I was just like, I'm not even doing that for myself right now.
Yeah.
So yeah, those first couple lockdowns, I was just like, every lockdown that comes around now for me is really a reset, because I made a decision in that lockdown. I was like, I'm never going to be in this position ever again.
Yeah.
That was when I was like, I thought I'd taken responsibility up until this point, like many times over. I thought I'd put myself in discomfort, but this was real now. This was like, no, I'm fucking doing it.
This is the thing. You probably did, but then that discomfort zone became a comfort zone again, and we forget that it's this evolution of growth. It keeps going. It's not just because you step into it. Oh, I've done the job. It's like that is going to become a comfort zone that you're going to have to be aware of to keep moving forward and to keep growing.
Yeah.
Because it's so easy to just, again, miss the boat and be like, oh, I'm here for another 10 years.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, that's what it was. But yeah, look, I made that decision. Like, I did make that decision. We ended up coming back to Geelong. Geelong, there was a little bit of a void.
That's when you reached out to me the very first time. I was in Melbourne. I remember I was getting food and you just randomly messaged me. You're like, hey, I see that you do the Wim Hof thing. Like, you're pretty cool to be someone from Geelong. Like, I didn't think
impressed.
I was like, who the fuck is this guy? Yeah, and then that's literally, we met when I asked you to do the ice bath after that 256k bike ride, which was a really smart idea.
Yeah.
The bike ride, not the ice bath, but
very smart. Should do it again sometime.
I know. No, I'm good.
Okay.
You may speak.
So I just wanted to... I thought about this today.
Yo.
The accountability group as we move back to Geelong. Remember the no marijuana accountability group?
Yeah, I was still in Melbourne at that point.
Yeah, so you were still in Melbourne. I just moved to Geelong.
Yeah.
That was like... I was so fucking resistant to do that with you.
I remember.
I was like, I'm not doing it. He's like, oh, and I was like, no, I don't need to do this thing. But it just, that sticks out in my head, in my mind so much of last year, because for me personally, I thought that I'd been around in things and been accountable before, but I really begun to understand how much of a fucking slippery gypsy I am in myself to be able to mold and chameleon, I suppose, into any situation that I need to. When it was like, hey, we'll just do this accountability group. We're both saying we're going to stop smoking weed for a little bit anyway. Let's just fucking do it together. And let's get a few people that we don't know to do it. And I know, like, you do so much stuff with accountability and everything anyway. But you weren't then, but you are now. But what I was going to say is, does that group and that 6-week thing, is that like, do you want to do more things like that? Is it something that you've given any more thought to? Because I thought it was really profound for me. And it was like this really nice middle ground of just like, hey, I don't need to go to rehab. I don't. However, little did I know, I did need somebody to just keep me accountable at that point in my life. And it was really nice having other people talking to one another about their experience. Because I remember being like, all of us stoners literally think exactly the same.
Yeah. Same shit. Same fucking shit. Same cop-out. Same excuses.
Was that like, is that leading into all this other stuff that you've been doing with like accountability and stuff? Or is that like...
I don't know, man, a little bit, but not really too.
Yeah, it's pretty
like,
different, hey?
Yeah, I mean, like, where I'm at with all that kind of stuff, like, that was cool, and we needed, and like you said, it's like, well, we're going to do it anyway, just kind of like how we did the ice bath afterwards. It's like, we're going to do it anyway, let's get a couple people on board just to see what it's like. And a couple people came on board, and it was great, and we didn't smoke for a long time. Did end up smoking again, but now I haven't smoked I haven't smoked all year now.
Yeah.
So I don't know. I'm pretty open. I got a lot of things on at the moment. That was an accountability just to kind of like, because I wanted to be working with people at that point. Like I did kind of want to just work. I'd been doing like operations manager role for a very long time, and there was a part of me that wanted to actually work one-on-one with people as well. So I liked that kind of aspect at the time. Now it's like, it's a couple things. I mean, like the cold and conscious thing is obviously beautiful in the space that it sets up, and like I enjoy doing the breath work and things like that.
Yes.
But it was never meant to be this is a magic pill scenario.
Okay.
It was, so that's why I just like, it's not, I like what it is, and I want to keep doing what it is and keep offering that medicine to people, because I do feel like it is a medicine. That's what that space is. So it's important to me that goes on, but there are other elements to me as well. And so a big part of it is kind of like all the work that I've done, like managing and the business stuff and everything like that. Like I was saying before, I never really found a way to actually make that my own without having to just get hired into a soul-sucking position.
Yes.
And so that's kind of where I started off with this. It was, I think there was a little bit of me that was kind of calling, like missing some of that structure and some of that element, and just being like, all right, let's break shit down, let's do it, and let's go fucking do it now. And it came out a couple lockdowns ago now, and a few people messaged me right at the start when we got back into lockdown, and they're like, hey, this lockdown's different. Like, I'm feeling really bad. I'm feeling really anxious, and I don't want to just feel this way anymore. I actually want to do something about it.
Yeah.
And so for me, I was like, all right, cool. There's a couple people that have messaged me. I was in very much the mode. I was kind of, I get judgy sometimes. I don't get judgy. I get short sometimes. And it's just like, I was kind of over everybody just identifying as an anxious person.
Yeah, same.
Yeah.
Same.
Like, don't take that the wrong way. Like, I mean, anxiety is a very fucking real thing, and like people do have issues, but there's a point as well where it's like, well, how long do you want to be like that for?
And the other thing
more.
to that is, and I'm the exact same, I have a real issue with people saying, I am depressed. You're experiencing depression.
Yeah.
It's fleeing. It will come and go. The second you attach a label to your identity like that, I am an anxious person, I have depression, or I am depressed, I am a perfectionist, I am a procrastinator, it's really fucking hard to remove the label.
Yeah.
It's very easy to break the habit. The habit of being anxious. What are you doing in your life that's actually not serving you? Remove that.
You believe it, and like I was saying before, you're gonna like you're gonna represent that through your body biologically as well, and you're gonna be an anxious person.
It's such, the word anxiety had so much weight in my life for such a long time, and it was I remember the book that I was reading, what's his name, bro? I remember the book that I was reading. I can't remember. No, it's The Happiness Trap. And the first chapter of that book, he just talks about, it's like we're humans having a human experience.
Yeah.
Of course you're going to be anxious sometimes. You need to be. And it's such an unpopular opinion. I still don't know how to express it properly. But if we just simply shifted what you guys have just said about labeling people with anxiety or depression and going, hey, no, you're a human being. If you're really anxious right now, there's probably a fucking bunch of factors in your life that are piling on top of each other that are contributing to it. So let's work through those rather than give you a tablet to work through it.
Yeah.
Or rather than label you with that, so then you carry that for the rest of your life. I get extremely, I suppose I get really triggered by it because I spent my whole life trying to fight against that, but never actually realized that I didn't believe it. You've known me forever. It's been a huge part of my life. Because I was told and I internalized that that's what it was. But yeah, I couldn't agree with you more.
And it's also, sorry, quickly, just when people downplay what you're feeling as well. So
Yes.
like, especially as a child, when someone goes, you're just a little shit, you're just anxious, you're just this, you start telling yourself, I am just that. I am just that. I am just that. Yeah, exactly. And then you get to this, that narrative just keeps going. There's no stop.
Yeah, it doesn't. And I was going to say onto that, don't you think it's almost become... I remember there was a time period, maybe like 5 years ago. I'm not going to say... No, careful the way that I say this, because it's not... I'm not discrediting anybody's experience, first of all. I don't know what anybody else experiences. I don't know what your anxiety feels like. I don't know what your depression feels like. I don't know what your bad feelings feel like. I don't know how deep that goes. So don't for a second think that I'm discrediting it. I just think the way that society puts a lot of weight onto these words is extremely detrimental for anybody that feels like they're experiencing it.
Yeah.
I do feel like there was a time period as well where it almost became a thing where everyone's like, oh, we're just anxious. And the fact that we're able to share it now, and I know we all probably needed to go through this hump in order to be able to look at it from the other side, but just the fact that you're sharing it became, it's really strong that you're sharing, because it is, because we've internalized this so much, but then people get, I think people get addicted to or identify with it even further, because it's like, this is how I can share. Or this is how I can...
It's trauma bonding.
Yeah, trauma bonding. There you go.
That's it. It's literally like, I'm going to validate your experiences because...
Did you feel me swimming around in circles then? Like,
yeah, I was like, I'm just going to have to like jump in here, and because this is going to...
I feel really uncomfortable talking about this though. I do, because I've had friends that have been through really serious mental illness and not made it out the other side.
But this is where I also go, and I used to do this a lot. It was that bonding part. Like, you'd find someone who had similar, not the same, similar experiences to you, and it's like, oh, this person like kind of gets me and understands me. But then again, without really realizing, you're just like, you're validating each other's experiences and not allowing each other to actually start growing. So you're doing this together, but it's like, sometimes you do need the person to come in and be like, dude, like, what do you keep telling yourself?
We got to keep our mind on the bigger picture and where
Yeah.
we're going.
Yes.
Like, it's,
Yep.
I think we got to remember, a few years ago, a lot of people were living this way and feeling this way, and nobody was saying anything.
Exactly.
Yeah.
About it. So
100%.
I don't want to demonize this. Like, it's
No,
not
no.
if you are going through it and you're going through the anxiety and everything. Like, I think I agree with everything you guys have said. But there is space. It's like, well, like, first step, come out and actually admit that this is going on for you and
Yes.
understand.
Yes.
Like, you're getting to know yourself right now. You're starting to speak into something that you've been pushing away, hiding in the cellar for
Yep.
a long time.
Yep.
That's important. That's an important part of the healing process. So you need space for this, and you need to let this out. We just got to remember that these feelings start to get addictive as well. And
Yes.
if you don't keep sight of moving forward, you're going to keep on going around and just going through this loop of feeling shit, sharing about it, getting validation because you shared about it, feeling shit again because you're not moving anywhere, and it becomes a little bit of a spiral.
Yeah.
So it's cool. Stay in that. Do that as long as you need to do until you can like feel like, all right, it's time to move on, and then let's actually keep moving now.
Yes.
And so this is the part where I've started coming in.
But this is, Steve, this is why I respect you so much, because you give a person that space. So it's like the acceptance piece is there. Great. You need that. You need to actually acknowledge that there are parts of you that at some period in your life were trying to protect you. And yeah, the anxiety came up, the fucking this came up, that came up. But then it's like the forgiveness has to start coming in, the compassion towards yourself to be like, okay, yeah, that happened. Yep, cool. How do I just move past that? Still have that much like just love and compassion for that part of me that was trying to protect me at whatever age it was at, and move forward. And sometimes we need a person like you, or a person needs someone like you to be like, cut the shit, man. How much longer are you going to sit there and call yourself an alcoholic? Because you're not that fucking thing anymore. How many more times are you going to tell yourself you're a drug addict?
Yeah.
You're fucking not that thing
It's like,
anymore.
I'm cool with that. I'm like, if you still want to do that, that's fine. But it's just, well, you're going to keep being that now.
Yeah.
You're not actually going to get
You're
to where you
not.
want to go.
And then
This is
you
why
know,
it's important to identify where you want to go.
I used
know
to
where
do
you're
this.
headed.
So when I started the whole, like, kind of similar to what you were doing, where I was helping people, I was really fucking just giving people that space, and then acknowledge, like, just feeding, whether it's the ego or whatever, but feeding that part of them that was like, I'm a fucking suicidal, depressed person. I am a drug addict. I am an alcoholic. And I'd be like, that's part of your story. Yes, yes, yes. Oh, no. But it's like, it's part of your story. But you've still got a whole nother fucking story to write.
It's not the end of the story.
How much? It's not a full stop. It's a comma. Keep moving.
Oh, that keep moving part. So, because I just think that I remember there was a time period in my life, early 20s, where it was admitting that I was a drug addict was actually really important. Because it was like,
I remember this.
Yeah.
You're
I was-
struggling for a long time.
for a long time, I was like, I need to admit it, because I wasn't admitting it. But then I felt good about admitting it because I was like, holy fuck, I'm actually bringing it to the surface. Okay. But I fucking stayed on that for a very long time because I didn't know what to do next. I didn't know the way out. And then it gets like shifting from drug to drug. It's like, oh, those steps forward were necessary to move, right? This conversation makes me really, really happy. No, it makes me really, really happy. It's probably a weird conversation to make me happy because I just think it's so fucking murky.
Yeah.
It is so murky and it feels so dangerous to talk about at times. But the way that you just explained that was fucking perfect. I've got to find that, I've got to cut it out, and I've got to put it in my phone. No, because you're 100% right, because it's a step, coming out and speaking about it, and it's a fucking hard step to make. Talking about your emotions, not even publicly, just to one other person, is so fucking hard. It's so hard. So the acknowledgement that is, that's a really enormous step. That's a step. Then like, how do you move past that?
How do you move past that?
How do you move past it?
From your experience? Or from you, like, trying to help people now?
How bad do you want to move past it? That's it.
It's it.
How bad do you want to move past it? And we've got to figure that out, because if you don't ask yourself that and you don't really want to move past it that bad, maybe this is all right. Or if you just say you want to move past it, all right, well, where are we going then?
Yeah, maybe this step's a little bit wider than you think it is right now.
Maybe. Everyone's different. Everybody's in a very different situation. But I think it always comes back down to this dream. I think I'm a very big believer in the power of belief. I think if you can just really believe in something more important than where you're at right now, then you're going to find ways to get through it.
Yeah.
And so if you've got a vision for your life that is more than just being caught up in this anxiety cycle, if that vision is really your vision, and if that's really what you want deep down from the core of you, then you're not going to allow yourself to get stuck.
Exactly.
Yeah.
The discipline and all that comes into play.
And so if you're still stuck in this cycle, maybe you don't want it bad enough. And I'm not saying this is a bad thing. It's like, if you don't want it bad enough, that's something we got to identify, and that's something we need to work on. Mm-hmm. What are you going to want bad enough that's going to get you out of this? What's going to be so important to you that you're actually going to give enough a fuck about yourself and have enough energy to actually pull you out on your own shit and start moving?
Yeah.
Because that's the other part, it's you need to be the one to pull yourself out of your own shit.
It's always going to be you.
It's always, exactly. But I think sometimes we get, I know I did for a little while, and it wasn't until I hit my own rock bottom I realized no one's fucking coming to save me.
Yeah.
No one is here to save me.
No.
It's no one's responsibility to fucking save me either. If I can't do it myself, my whole life from here on in, from rock bottom in, is gonna rely on somebody else coming in, swooping in to rescue me.
Yeah.
And if it's not a person, it's gonna be a substance. It's gonna be something that is just going to come and pick me up for a little bit, and then I'm not going to know how to stand on my own 2 feet when the time comes again, because it fucking will. It will, until you learn the lesson.
It'll keep coming back.
Yeah, until you learn the lesson of you can actually do this on your own. I will, the universe, the world, God, whatever you want to believe in, is going to keep throwing it at you until you learn the lesson and you apply it. And then to double check that you've learned the lesson, it's going to test you one more fucking time. And sometimes when that second time comes, we either throw our hands up and go, fucking, I thought I dealt with this. And we revert back. And it's that whole, are you going to level up?
So it comes back down again. How bad do you want it?
Yeah, exactly.
You got to fucking want it.
How bad do you
want it?
No,
You gotta
exactly. But that's the simplicity of it. You know?
I know.
I get really fucking into
simple.
this because
it's simple, but it's not easy.
Yeah.
And when you're in that position, it's definitely not easy. But that's kind of that's why I like to break down these things with people. It's like if the problem is that you don't want it that bad and you're not feeling it, let's figure it out what you do want bad enough. And once we've figured that part about enough, well, let's figure out what that looks like. Who do you need to be and what do you need to be doing? Because there's also an element of a lot of people I know that are quite anxious and quite depressed. And I say this from experience, but a lot of people just don't look after themselves.
Yes.
People just fucking drink, or they smoke too much, or they eat shit food, or they don't exercise. But it's very scary. Habits are hard to change, and it's you can find anything that's going to justify anything in this world.
100%.
And I just know this because I've been in it. Like, I've been fucking addicted to ciggies and to weed and to booze and to all of that shit, and I've gotten out of it. And I can see how I used to behave when I try and hold on to that. Even if it was occasionally, even if it was now and then. But like a lot of people, I'm just like, honestly, if you just really started looking after the habits and your lifestyle, that's step one. Like, you need to turn yourself into a fucking weapon.
Yeah.
Otherwise, you can still do it. I'm not saying you can't do it. Obviously, there's like really unhealthy people that are really successful, but you're going to make it hard on yourself.
Yeah.
So like, let's get that part in order as well. And from that dream that you want bad enough, like, now let's actually break it down and let's figure this out. And that part gets me excited. That's when it's like, now we start really moving forward.
Yeah.
And so that's what it's been getting me really excited with people right now. It's like there was a lot of people who were feeling this way at the start of lockdown. I was like, okay, cool. Like, we can fix this. We can do something about this. And we've started moving steps. And the first thing is like, let's figure out what you want to do. I'm just really excited because the world is changing a lot right now, and there are people that are starting to realize like, okay, well, I should or I can be doing something else for myself. And like, a lot of people are getting out of their jobs. A lot of people are probably going to have to move on from their job soon as well, depending on some of their life choices in this current circumstance. So I'm loving I love that that's happening, because I get really excited for everybody, because I'm just like, guys, we can do this. Like, we can figure out what you want to be doing, and we can figure out that inner shit. We can figure out the dream, and we can figure out what's holding back, because the work that I've done with the breathing and the meditation and everything else, like, I can help you through that kind of stuff. We can sort that stuff out, but we can also figure out steps like, well, are you going to start a business? Are you going to, like, what are you going to do? Like, what do you want to do? Let's do this as well.
It's the excitement.
It's fucking exciting.
Yeah, it's the excitement piece. And I think like when you open the floodgate for yourself, like when you were talking about cold and conscious and all that, like whether you realize it or not, like it was for you first. Like it was for you first. And in doing it for yourself
it was such a
first.
selfish thing.
Yeah, but this is the fucking point. Like, everybody sits there and goes, I have to do this for everybody else before I do it for myself. And it's like, you got to flip that mentality, because if you're not doing it for yourself, you're going to, like, that's when you're going to require motivation to keep going.
Yeah.
Because this thing you're doing doesn't inspire you. It's just for...
You're not going to have the energy.
No.
But also, you're going to, like, you will get to a point, you do things for yourself and it will feel selfish for a while, because it is literally just inner work. It's like just fixing me up and doing myself up. But you got to get yourself to that baseline first. Once you get yourself there, once your cup's full, you're naturally going to start... The next thing you do that's going to be selfish at one point is going to be something that so many other people want as well.
Yeah.
And it's still going to be for you, but you're going to be like, oh, now I'm not just filling voids in myself. Now I'm filling voids in myself that so many other people have.
Yeah.
Yes.
And
But you also open up the floodgates. Like, I love that you get so excited about dreams, because I get so excited about possibilities in every aspect, across everything. And it's like, I just want people to dream as well. I want people to believe, and the only way they're going to do that is if they see me doing that exact same thing, which always requires vulnerability, which always requires being uncomfortable, because what you're actually showing people is nothing bad actually fucking happens when you look after yourself and you do something for you. It actually inspires other people to go, hey, I might go try do that for myself as well. And B, like, I know for so many people, like, they used to always, I still get it now, people go, oh, I just want to be doing what you're doing. And I'm like, no, you fucking don't.
No, you don't.
You absolutely don't. What I think you want, because what you see in me, is the fact that I have so much freedom. But that freedom was a choice. It came with massive sacrifices, massive, from friendships to, like, everything. But that freedom, I think we're all just trying to chase fucking happiness. Happiness is just a byproduct of freedom. Financial freedom, freedom with, like, you know, amongst your friends and stuff, all of that. It's all a fucking choice that you make. And it's a scary fucking choice as well. But when you make it and you live and breathe it every single day, what do? You start living immediately.
Plug.
Stefan's wearing the jumper.
Wearing the live immediately jumper. I'm like, why'd you just poke me? I was like,
Yeah, no, that's it. A lot of people value freedom. And that's what they're identifying with. They're not identifying with what you're doing. It is the freedom.
It's the freedom. It's the
important to them.
Yeah, the lifestyle of, I can pick up and leave tomorrow and work anywhere in the world from my laptop, because I've set myself up to do that.
oh, it's so funny. People say it like Pilates and yoga. Because what they look at it from that, it's like, oh, you look really free. Like the image of somebody meditating on a rock, or the idea that you can be free of your thoughts and everything like that. The amount of people that come up to me and they're like, I need to do yoga, or I need to do Pilates. I'm like, no, you fucking don't.
Yeah.
I'm like, you need to do whatever feels good for you and works for you. You can apply all these principles to whatever the hell it is that you're doing.
Yep.
Just make sure, what is that Paul Check thing?
What?
About the best program is a program that's going to work for you.
That's something that Paul Check says.
Yeah.
The one that you're actually going to do, that's the best one. You don't have to fucking design the most intricate and the most detailed and scientific anything. Like, what are you actually going to do?
Yeah.
It's better than what you're doing now. Perfect.
Exactly.
That
That's
comes
like
to exercise, that comes to nutrition, that comes to anything mindset, that's all of this stuff.
it's all about simplicity and then adding the consistency so you can do it long term. Hey.
Keep it simple, Stefan.
Keep it simple. Yes, exactly.
But it is like, I mean, we've all gone through and fucked up a whole lot of times, so that's why we can say it's so simple now.
Yeah.
But there are people out there that can help you with that who've done the fucking up and that can sort of help you skip that point as well. That's important to realise. You can skip that. You can keep it simpler by skipping those steps.
Yeah, you can.
Yeah.
But I also think like everybody has to, I know when people say to me now like, oh, I'm going through this really shit part, I'm like, yeah, I'm fucking really excited for you. They're like, what do you mean? I'm like, because it's absolutely necessary for you to learn whatever you need to learn right now to actually take you into like the next chapter or the next phase of your life. I'm not going to rob you of that experience. I can sit here and give you all the answers. I can tell you exactly what not to do. You're probably still going to go do it anyway, because who the fuck am I to tell you to do anything in your life? But I'm not going to rob you of an experience that's actually going to benefit you in the future. You just don't see it yet. And you don't need to see it sometimes. You don't even need to fucking understand it half the time. You just got to trust that you're going to know how to get yourself out of the shit. And once you trust that and you hold your own hand...
That sounded like one of my bowls.
And you hold your own hand through that fucking storm, nothing's going to be able to break you. Because you got you.
God, you're so right. It's pretty wild how much allowing people to step in, not seeking professional advice. I'm not talking about that. That's a fucking great idea.
Yeah,
Seek
do that.
professional
Do
advice,
that.
But stepping into a friend's situation, because most people don't do what you just said.
Yeah.
I'm learning how to do it. I've just learnt how to do it. Just be like, no. You see, because I also learnt that by me helping that person, it's actually me making myself feel, I'm actually being selfish because I'm trying to make the situation feel less uncomfortable for me.
And also the other flip side of that is sometimes we try to give advice to make us feel good.
Yes.
And feel like, oh, look at me, I'm coming in to save the day. It's like, fucking, you don't need to save shit. Trust the person that they know what's best for them. You've taught me that lesson. I'm just like, you got it. You'll be fine.
But it's pretty wild. Stepping in actually can derail that person's progress for a really fucking long time.
Yeah.
You just don't know how long.
Yeah, exactly.
Playing with fire that maybe you shouldn't.
Yeah, well, this is why it just gets tricky sometimes as well. Everybody wants to help, and then there's also the other side of it. It's like, well, you don't know how to help too.
Yes.
Yeah.
It's both of these things are very, very true.
And that's where that felt experience comes back in, because you've got to feel the situation rather than logically go, this person needs my help. Society says I have to help people. How do I do it?
I think the other thing just is, like, we don't know how to listen.
No. I was going to say that. Like, that's my experience. I don't help anybody. I just listen to the answers that they've already got and they just don't realise yet.
And that's all people need.
Everyone already knows the answer. It's just when you're in your head, you don't necessarily know it. You got to hear what that is, what they're telling you, and you just got to help them guide them to that.
Yeah.
That's it.
Kind of the key. Yeah. We're keeping this stuff really simple, hey?
Yeah. No. But like,
no, go out and save the world.
Imagine teaching. That's what we're doing next.
Here you go.
But that's all it fucking takes. A person who does the work on themselves and changes themselves actually does more for humanity than the people that just don't do any work on themselves. Because you think that person then goes on to have a child and unconsciously teaches and parents a child to do the exact same thing that they fucking did. Like, imagine teaching your kids how to listen. Imagine teaching your kids how to process emotions. Imagine teaching your kids all these things that, you know, us now, we're like, fuck, how do we work through this shit? But the beautiful part of that is, like, we are working through that shit. So when the time comes to have families and children, it's like, cool, I've had like 40 years of fucking everything up.
I'm fucking myself.
Yeah, literally.
Yeah.
That's it.
Yeah. Yeah.
Life.
Yeah. I was going to say something and now I'm not.
And
I can't remember what it was.
And it's like, I said this to you the other day and somebody else. No, I think it was mainly you. I say a lot of things to you.
Maybe, I don't know. We talk a lot, so I don't know.
No, but like, it's constantly changing too. Like, I don't fucking know what I'm doing. I do sometimes. In some things I'm like, oh, I think I understand this. But I'm like constantly proven wrong. And I think having that openness and willingness to be really wrong a lot of the time as well, it's really important. Because I've been so scared to do this podcast, for example. This is what I was saying to you the other day. I'm like, it's so weird having something documented that it's like, I'm most certainly going to say something that 2 days from now I'll be like, oh,
but that's
thank you
a good
for showing.
fucking thing.
That's a great thing, because then you
Yeah.
get to see the process along the way. And acknowledging and understanding that, I think it's really special. And then, yeah, I'm going to say that felt experience thing again, because then it pulls into the uncertainty and it kills that.
But it's evolving as a human being, which is the whole fucking point of life.
And the only way you succeed is by failing a whole bunch of times. There's no, like, that's all success is. Just failure after failure after failure until something kind of works out.
But it's learning from the failures as well.
Exactly.
Like, you can fail, and you can keep failing without learning the lesson.
Well, that's very true too.
So fail fucking hard as well, and then learn from it. Don't do it again.
Fail forwards.
Yeah,
And fail quickly.
100%.
Just keep failing.
Because at the end of the day, like, life doesn't get easier, you just get better. You
do.
get smarter, hopefully, if you've learned the lessons from failing. But
Yeah.
that's all it is. It doesn't get easier.
Yeah.
We're not sitting here saying like, oh, do all this shit and then it's going to be easy, fucking breezy. Absolutely not. But you're just going to get better because you're going to understand A, yourself, and B, what works, what doesn't. And then you've got all the tools.
Yeah. And you're just you're gonna keep feeling more and more of that feeling that you're trying to get to, like that little thing. It might start small, but the more you do it, the more you're gonna start feeling it, and the more you start to become that person.
Yeah.
Like, a success according to you isn't going to be success according to the
Absolutely
world.
not.
And our versions here on this table of success aren't the same whatsoever. And it's not linear. Like, we don't, the reality of the world is just not linear. It's not like it goes in this direction. It's all over the place. So, like, I keep going through whatever I go through, and I fail and I learn and I do this and I have these crises, and then I'm on top of the world, and it's like you still have all the ups and downs and everything, but in the end of the day, the more time goes by, the more I'm feeling more myself, the more, like, I can just sit here and just be like whatever comes up now, I'm pretty much like, yeah, cool, I'm me, I'm here, I feel good, I'm in my body, I don't really care much.
You're in the flow of life. It's amazing.
Like, you talk about this freedom thing, it's like, I'm fucking as free as you can be.
Yeah.
I do whatever I want. It's great. I feel awesome.
You're awesome.
Thanks, man. You too. Yeah. Come on, you too.
Thanks.
Yeah.
You too.
I mean it. Thank you.
You too.
Thank you. You too.
You too.
Yeah. Yeah.
Well,
that?
would you like to add anything else?
What else is there? What else is there?
What's
We've
next
talked
for
about-
Steve? Are you moving to the waterfalls and the forest and?
Yeah, we'll do that at some point. Well, I mean, right now, hopefully we start to open up a little bit more. Cold and Conscious will still be happening. In what capacity that is, who knows? So stay tuned. If you're in the area, come down. I've still got some clients that I'm taking on, so I'm doing a bit of work with clients. Some are just personal stuff, just people sort of sorting through their shit and like, let's figure it out. And then let's not just figure it out and sit in it. Let's do that when we need to, but let's do that so that we can move forward.
Yeah.
That's kind of the angle of it. And I love solving problems. So
I'm excited for you to do that with people, because like, even this two small things, I was shocked when we sat down twice to work through different business things together, and I was like, who the hell is this? So I'm really pumped for you to do that with people personally, because that, like, fire added into somebody's life, it's huge.
I love it. That feels like where my superpower is, and I enjoy doing that a lot. I'm doing it with some people, but I'm also doing it with a couple businesses as well. So it's kind of both elements of it. So yeah, that's kind of where it's moving on. I'm doing a pretty big project at the moment with Dan, which is really awesome. Dan Sacred Cacao. We've obviously been friends this year for a fair bit. And
Yeah.
This year we're a fair bit like brothers.
yeah, we're pretty tight.
You meshed a bit of skin together and then just
Yeah.
like...
Yeah. He's got big plans for just, spreading that cacao and spreading that love all over the world. So I'm going to jump on board and help him
Amazing.
for a while, and we'll see where that goes and see where everything else goes as well. I don't know. It's like we said, everything's kind of changing right now, and things are exciting, and everything's just different. Like, you guys are doing your thing, I'm over here doing my thing. At the start of the year, we were all together. It's just like, I don't know, things are changing.
It's pretty cool. Just
Very
watching
cool.
the evolution of everyone in our lives.
Well, this was the plan.
Everyone's doing really cool shit.
Yeah.
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 I guess that's something to look forward to. Like, if you are sort of feeling alone, if you're feeling like you don't know what's going on, if you're feeling like you don't know how to get out of this hole, just keep going.
That's
Yeah.
it.
Just keep
Yes.
going, because things do change. Like, we get caught up feeling like the way that I feel right now and the situation I'm right now is going to last forever, but nothing's forever.
That's
Nothing's
it.
forever, and it does change. And I'm really fortunate to have you in my life, because like, we've been together through some fucking shit growing up, some wild shit, but you've also been there every step of the way as we've started evolving and becoming like this. Like, we weren't like this
No.
10 years ago. We were nothing like this. And so I feel very fortunate and blessed and lucky and grateful to have you in my life, because there's someone from my past who's been through this with me and walked this with me.
I feel the same.
We're
Very
fucking
grateful.
super lucky for that.
Yeah.
Oh, guys.
But even if you weren't here, it's like, well, Mon's here now. Like, there's other people too. That's the
Yeah.
thing.
Yeah,
You know what I mean? So
exactly.
if you do just keep going, like, trust, stick through it, eat shit, do what you got to do, but just keep going, and things do change, and it changes in ways you will never expect. Like, the people that surround you, the situations that you find yourself in, and the conversations you're having, it's just like, what the fuck's going on here?
Yeah.
But see, this is the beautiful thing, right? So when you start to be more you, the right people find you. The situations, the opportunities, they come to you without force. It's just this effortless, seamless process. And that's when it feels right. And sometimes I think we get in our heads going, well, this is going to fuck up soon. Or I'm going to be the one to fuck this up. I'm going to be the one to self-sabotage this whole thing, because nothing ever goes right. It can't be this easy. It cannot be. This sort of shit does not happen.
Yeah.
It's like, it does if you actually start fucking believing that you're actually deserving and worthy of this stuff happening to you.
Yeah, fuck yeah, exactly. Be more you sums it up really good.
What?
Like, that's kind of my strategy. But like, all of this other technical and all this simple stuff we've said and everything, that's all cool and fun. But at the end of the day, it's like, my end game is like, I just want to be a planet. Like, I want to be a black hole. I just want like my gravity to be that hard that I don't have to move a muscle.
And that's
the world
it.
changes around me, and the colors and the scenery and the people, and that's kind of what it feels like. Like, sometimes I feel like I've never actually moved from this spot right here. It's just
Yeah.
the world moving around me.
But that's it.
That's it. You got to be a planet.
Remember when that was a thing early this year? You were saying that so often, and it made so much sense. Because as I think both of us were stepping into things that we really loved, and were more than loved, just were really aligned with us, everything just started changing and molding around
course.
everything.
But that's because when
You
you're...
started to be more you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But when you're when your inner world changes, the outer world just follows.
Yeah.
Too many people try to change the outer world first without changing the inner world, and it just
Doesn't
clashes. It doesn't work. It's not a magnet. It's like when you put two batteries and they're just like, nah. If you flip it, it's like, oh, that's the magic trick.
Yeah.
Do the inner work first, and then the outer stuff just gravitates.
Yeah. Well, that's why they call it your inner world, because you are full of gravity. You are a whole world.
Yeah.
So bring it to you. Nourish this place. Let it grow. Let the flowers and the trees and the waves crash and the thunderstorms and boom!
Mic drop.
Excuse me, I just get passionate sometimes.
I love it.
Like,
I love
express my passion, because that's who I am.
it. Yes, exactly. Steve is just being more Steve. I love it. Well,
Yeah, fuck yeah.
I think
Mad
that
dogs.
was pretty
Call it a wrap.
solid.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks for being on the
That was
podcast.
a pleasure. Big hugs, big hugs.
It's really good. I'll hug you afterwards. But I just want to say thank you for
Sure.
saying
I'm sure you will.
I'm getting better at hugging, okay? I swear. Yeah, I just want to say a massive thank you because that was really, really insightful, and I just appreciate you saying yes to this because I love talking to you always. So it's nice to be able to get, just your knowledge out into the world because I think it's very, very valuable and people need to hear it. And keep doing you, buddy. Thanks, doing buddy. You.
I appreciate that. That was really, really nice of you to say. And thanks for having me on. Thanks for inviting me. And it's really cool to see this space that you set up and everything you're doing with this. And it's good to be surrounded by people like yourselves who are getting after it, making shit happen.
That's love. That's the type of love and support you need.
Together, we make a solar system.
Love it.
We do.
Yeah.
It's fucking beautiful, man. Oh.
All right. Well, thank you to everybody who's been listening, and we'll see you back here next week.
Goodbye.
Goodbye.
Goodbye.